I have a confession to make. I love binge reading. And I'm certain you're probably like, of course, Noria, we know you keep on telling us that, but like, I really love binge reading, and I just decided to do this video talking about 10 series that I've binge read recently. Please note that this video is not comprehensive. It's not going to be the last video I'm going to be making all about binge reading series, because there are so many more series that I have not yet read yet that I know I'm probably going to binge read, but I don't want to speak about them yet because I've not read them yet. And please note that binge reading does not necessarily mean that I think that the book is perfect or that the book is great. Of course, a lot of these books that I binge read, I absolutely love, but there are so many books that I did not binge read that I also loved. Some of them came out like I was reading them as they were coming out, and so I could not binge read them. For example, The Poppy World, which you all know is one of my favorite series, but I didn't binge read that because I read like The Poppy World the year it was released, and then I read Dragon Republic last year when it was released last year. So there are also books that are very heavy, that they are not the type of books I can binge read through easily, even though they are amazing. Case in point, the Broken Earth trilogy. I don't think anybody will consider the Broken Earth trilogy as a bingeable series. Like, it's not a series you wham bam and you're done in like the last couple of days. I've started it, I keep starting it, and I keep putting it away because every time I start it I'm not in the right mental space for it. But I can't wait to actually be in the mood and then take my time and lose myself in the brilliance that is N.K. Jemisin's Broken Earth trilogy. So there is that as well. So just keep those in mind as you're looking at my bingeable series. And please note, like I said, that I'm probably going to do other versions like a 2.0, a 3.0. Maybe I might even do this every year, because I'm sure every year I'll discover new bingeable series that I want to share with all of you. So here are 10 bingeable series that I binged and loved. I'll kick things off with Lilith's Brood, which is basically a compilation of 3 separate novels by Octavia E. Butler, all in a Xenogenesis trilogy. So you have Dawn, you have Adulthood Rights, and you have Imago. And in this, basically, we're in a world, we're in an earth that has been destroyed, whereby mankind has basically self-imploded on itself. And you have these alien life forms, the Oankali, who come to save the remaining members of like humanity that they can find, and then they transport them to their ship and basically find a way to graft their DNA with the human DNA. It's a book that talks about exploring humanity, what makes us alien, what in our DNA as humans are what has set us up for destruction, and if it is that if the slate is wiped clean, we will repeat the same mistakes because our DNA are already predisposed to these traits. And it's a very thought-provoking book. It's a very, very difficult book to get into, but it was also a series I binged. Like, it's a very difficult series. It can be very, very punch your gut in its style, in the way it's written, but it's also a series that I enjoyed, that I loved, that I binge read. I finished this in less than a week. All 3 books in less than a week. It was more than worth it. I was in awe of Lilith Yapo. I was in awe of the children and their own progeny that, you know, came from her line, because she's just remarkable, and she contains the best of humanity and the worst of humanity as well. I love her. I love her to bits. She's just amazing. She's just fantastic. So definitely Xenogenesis by Octavia E. Butler. You can get the individual books, or you can just get this Lilith's Brood compilation, which I love, I adore. Next, let's talk about the Reluctant Warrior series by Alyssa Cole. I keep saying this on my channel. I've made a reasons why you should read the Reluctant Warrior series video, so you all know how much I love it. It's a series celebrating Black love. It is hot and sexy and thoughtful and funny and insightful and beautiful and filled with so much representation. I adore every moment of it, from the very first, from Princess in Theory to the last book in the series, which is A Prince on Paper, which is actually my favorite book in the series. I love the series. I love the celebration of Black love. I love the presence of diversity in the world. You know, there's a character with ADHD, there's a character with disability, there's queer characters, there's a character who has has been abused in a way by her father. There's a character in STEM. There's a character who is in fandom. Which is like our novella is a celebration of fandom and all the things that we geek out and nerd out about. Like I absolutely love the series to bit. I binge read all. The series has 3 novels and 2 novellas, and I binge read all 5 books in like, I think I was reading 1 per day, so I binge read everything in 5 days. It was more than worth it. It was an experience, and I loved every moment of reading that series. Alyssa Cole fed me well. She fed us all well, and that just makes me so freaking happy. Like, I am so unbelievably happy. I love it. I love the Reluctant Royal series so much. Definitely a bingeable series. Definitely one I would always recommend. Like, when I have friends that are like, oh, do you know what, they want to get into romance but they're not sure what romance books, I'm like, pick up Reluctant Royal series, read it in order, because trust me, like, each of these characters are interconnected, and if you don't read it in order, you can read it out of order, but if you don't read it in order, you miss certain developments, certain character developments that will just blow your mind. So I would suggest reading it in order, but it's definitely worth it. And then there's The Illuminate Files by Amy Kaufman and Andre Christoph. This book is fucking brilliant. Like, this entire series is just, I binge read this so fucking hard. I could not drop it down. I could not breathe. I was just reading and reading and reading, and it was just, I remember starting it off and being like, okay, what is this about? This is a book in space, right? And this planet is attacked and they are basically trying to get away, but they do not realize that, there's a virus coming to meet them, and it is not in any way pretty. This book scared me. It broke me. I laughed. I screamed. I was sitting at the edge of my seat until I finished this entire series. I binge read Illumina. I binge read Gemini. I binge read Obsidio. Like, this series is just fucking brilliant and fucking fantastic, and I cannot wait to reread it this time around via audiobook, because I heard that it's a production in itself and it's just magnificent, and I cannot wait to experience it through that in that means. But if you love nerdy characters, like nerdy kick-ass female characters who are brilliant, fucking brilliant, and who know they're fucking brilliant, and fighter pilot boys who are in love with such female characters whose heart is so big, and a psychotic AI that you start the series fucking terrified of and end the series absolutely in love with, I would suggest pick the series. Illuminate Files, definitely bingeable, definitely amazing. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And then there's the Braille series by Elle Kennedy, which is basically a university new adult romance. So if you're a bit tired of YA romances and you're like, adult romances can sometimes be heavy-handed, and you might just pick up the Braille series. It has so many layers interwoven with it, so it's not just a feel-good romance. It also speaks about a lot of things, trigger warning, because there is talk about rape in the book, in the series. There's also a bit of slut shaming. There's a character that deals with addiction. So like I said, it has so many layers with it, but I absolutely 100% utterly binged. I binged that series. I loved that series. Oh my god, I binged it so fucking hard. It was so good, so good. I would absolutely totally recommend it if new adult is your thing, or if you've never tried new adult, then I think Braille is a good series to kick off like new adult. You just might find yourself enjoying it. But I absolutely binge read it. I finished the entire series, all the books in the series, and I think they're like almost like 7 books, because there's their sister extension series, and I think I finished all 7 books. I think I finished all 7 books in like a week, thereabout. Less than a week even, because I just could not put it down. As I was finishing one person's story, I was jumping into the next character's story. Some of the books are better than others, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know I gave Logan's story, the second Logan, like, I think it's 2 stars. So not all the books are fantastic, but the series itself is fantastic, and there are so many great books amongst the rest that they kind of make up for the rest of the books that are not up to par in the series. But I definitely highly recommend it. And then I binge read, yes, A Court of Thorns and Roses, Akotar by Sarah J. Maas. I'm not gonna lie, I started, this series did not start on a good note for me, because I started with A Court of Thorns and Roses and that took me like 2 weeks to read, because I was like, it dragged, it was boring. I was like, what's so special about this book? Because this series is boring, blah blah blah. And then I got into Akomath, and then from Akomath, that's A Court of Mist and Fury, to A Court of Wings and Ruin, to A Court of Frost and Starlight. I binge read the rest of the book in the series in like 4 days. So I was reading each of them every day, and I was done with it. I was like, oh my god, wow, I was shook. So if fae books are your thing, I recommend it. I do state though that Sarah J. Maas's writing is not for everybody. In fact, it's not for a lot of people. So many people have complained about it, but I enjoy it. There's just something I find addictive about her stories, about the way she tells them, that I just cannot put them down. And I definitely could not put down Akotar until I was done reading it. I binge read the series, but the first book really slow starts. The rest of it picks up really well. And if you are a fan of female characters who are dealing with depression, absolutely zero sense of self-worth, if you want to read books about women who have been abused, who find a way to rise beyond that and find power and confidence and strength in themselves, then I highly recommend the series. I loved it, but I will repeat, it's not for everybody. So if you end up reading it and not liking it, I'm sorry, but I love it. So yeah. Then there's the Throne of Glass series, also by Sarah J. Maas. I also binged this. In fact, after I finished Akotar, I wanted more Sarah J. Maas. I was craving her work, so I picked up the Throne of Glass series as well. Just as with Akotar, the first book in the Throne of Glass series was meh. Things pick up like midway in the second book, and then it was just like full-on rush for me afterwards. So just it's the same way in which it took me like almost a week to read Throne of Glass, but by the time I was done with Throne of Glass, I binge read the rest of the series in a day, like a day each. So I was done with the rest of like all 6 books in like 6 days, even though the last book was technically almost 900 pages, so that was a lot of words. But I love the Throne of Glass series. It has more of action than Akotar. Like Akotar series is, if you are more a fan of romance, then you will like the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. But if you prefer action, you will like the Throne of Glass series. But just as with Akotar, there's also fae in this. But there's also assassin, even though the assassin does not really do much assassinating up to a point. But her power is not really in her being an assassin, as far as I'm concerned. Like, she's a badass assassin. We just don't get the chance to see it as much. But when we get into the fae part of the storyline, I was just blown away and I was in love. And there was this introduction of this witch that I want her to suck my blood dry, and I want to just offer my soul, my heart, my being to her, because Manon Blackbeak deserves the world, the freaking world. So yeah, this is also a character that has basically reached the darkest part of their life, and it was all about just clawing their way out of it. So this is an ongoing theme slash thread in a lot of Sarah J. Maas's books, so you'll see that replicated in Throne of Glass as well. But it's just that, like I said, it's more action packed than Akotar. So whichever one the case may be, but I binge read the SWOT series as well, like binged it. And then I binge read the True North series by Sarina Bowen. If you like small town books, like small town stories, which basically means that you know all the characters, they feel like family, and each character in that small town is most likely going to get their own novel and their own story, then you should totally pick up True North series. That is also if you like books that have to do with farming. I think ever since I read The Children of Cherry Tree Farm and The Children of Willow Farm, I have basically, like, by Eddie Blyton, I have had it, like, I've loved small town farming stories. I love being able to see farm life in books. And if that is your thing, or if you like to read about the making of wine, like what goes into making wine, what goes into making cider, then you might just consider picking up the True North series, because it has just a lot of those things. It has the farm life, it has the cider making business, it has the small town, it has the romance. If that's your thing, you might just consider picking it up. I enjoyed it. I had a blast. I binged through the entire series. I loved it from the very first time we start the story off with Griffin's story all the way down. I just loved it. Sure, there were some books I loved more than the others, I would not lie. Steadfast and Keepsake were my absolute favorite books in that entire series. Each one of them, both of them are dealing with characters that like have their own burdens to bear. Steadfast has a character who is like dealing with addiction, and the way in which Serena Bowen wrote about him going, like dealing with his addiction, this constant craving, this craving meter, the way in which she wrote it, you were legitimately in his head, you were legitimately in Jude's head, dealing with that addiction, rooting for him to come out on the other side. Like I love that book. And then you have Keepsake where we are talking about one character who was kicked out of like a religious commune and had to basically find his way and was building a life for himself. And you have another girl who has a yearning in her heart to help others, and when she is abroad trying to give that help, she's kidnapped, and so when she returns, she's dealing with the PTSD of that experience. And you have these two people find love and find each other. Like, I love the True North series, I absolutely love it. But I'm not gonna lie, Keepsake and Steadfast were my absolute favorite books in that entire series. Like, if I was to throw away the rest of the books in the series, those two are two books I am absolutely keeping. So yeah, that is one more series I binge read. So if you're a romance lover, then I would, and you like small town life, consider picking up True North. I did enjoy it. I had a blast. Then there is, yes, Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. I binge read the series. Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, just two books in this duology, but it was more than worth it. The first time I met Casbraker, I knew that this was a boy that was going to own my heart, and I was right. But what I was not expecting was for all the dregs to end up owning my heart, and that they do, even though it took Matthias like a book and a half for him to get to that point for me. But I love the dregs. This is, if you like heist books, if you like books that are driven by found family trope, then you should consider Six of Crows. If you like witty repertoires in like your books with your characters who are the way in which who think fast and think quickly on their feet, and who have this old relationship that is built on like quick retorts, you should totally consider it. Like, I think the strength of this series is the way in which Lee Bardugo writes the relationship between the characters, and of course also a personalization of the characters, because I think it's brilliant. But this is definitely a series I binge read. It's definitely a series I cannot wait to read again. Like, I love this book, I love the series, I love the series so fucking much, so much. And then there's the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy by Laini Taylor. Laini Taylor has this lyrical writing, this ways of painting vivid words and imagery in your head and just leaving you gasping for breath. I have not yet read the Strain the Dreamer duology, but I have read oh my god, the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, and I love it. Now, I know you're probably, if you like were following my channel back when I was reading this book, you're probably like, but Nori, it took you like 3 months to read this. Why is it in this bingeable read? Like, the reason why it's on this list is because this is definitely a series I would have binge read. The reason why I took my time in reading it was because I was body reading it with my amazing friend Sarah over at Novel Serendipity, and we tasked ourselves to take our time. And even though we're take our time, we still binge read it. Like, we'll finish one in 2 weeks and be like, oh my god, we have to start the next book, like, that was how good it was. So if I was not body reading it, if I had read it like alone, I would have finished this book in like 4 days, in like 3 days. I would have finished it in 3 days, and I would have been like amazed at how quickly I was able to read it, because I repeat, this is such a great book, such a great series, amazing, fantastic, brilliant series on so many levels. I love it so effing much. Yeah, Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy, loved it. And then finally, the last series I binge read is Sinners of Saints, yes, by LJ Shen. Not Are All Saints I, which is the spin-off series to the Sinners of Saints series. That series is let's not talk about it. In this house, we do not recognize the fact that All Saints High exists. No, Sinners of Saints was the OG series, and that was the first time I met one of the loves of my life, Vicious, Baron Vicious Spencer. And yeah, I binge read the entire series. I binge read, like, there are basically 4 novels. Yeah, there are 4 novels when we had Bane. So there are 4 novels and 1 novella, and I read every single one of them in 4 days, because I think I read 2 of those books together in 1 day. Yeah, like, because Defy is so small. So I think I read Defy and another book. I think I read Defy and Vicious on one day, and then I binge read the rest in like, so yeah, I binge read this entire series. I loved it. If it is that you like, if it is that bully romances are not your thing, you might not like, you probably would not like this series, because it is a genre of romance that I categorize as bully romance, and also redeemable alpha asshole douchebag. So if you don't like reading about alpha assholes and douchebags, you know, who end up finding redemption in some way, you might not like the series, but I enjoyed it. It was a rioting, amazing, sexy, smoking ride. See, I loved, and I binge read the series so hard that I was convinced that that was the level of writing to expect from all of LJ Shen's books, and I've been disappointed ever since. So let me just hold on to that series as my favorite LJ Shen series and just let all the other books she's written go, because clearly the rest of what she's written is not for me. But A Sinners of Saints series, that is my jam. That is my bread and butter. Hey baby, that is my jam. That is my bread and butter. Well, yeah, that is this video. Let me know what are some series that you binge read that you recommend, so that I can also binge read, because like I said, I love binge reading books. I love binge reading series. Let me know down in the comments down below. If you like this video, please do not forget to give it a big thumbs up. Check out my other videos. Subscribe if you want to, and if you do decide to subscribe, please click on that notification bell so you can know the minute I have a new video go up. I make new videos every Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll see you soon. Until then, stay passionate, love books, love yourself. Bye.